Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to the Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent Joint Archives Committee. Can I start by taking any apologies, please?
Yes, we've had apologies from Victoria Wilson.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any declarations of interest, item 2? No declarations to declare. Item 3, the minutes of the last meeting. Any matters for accuracy? I'll go through page by page. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, and page 6. Can I take those as an accurate record? Thank you. I'll sign those. Excellent. We're on to item 4. Item 4 is Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent Archive Service and Staffordshire Archives and Heritage Service review of fees and charges. Who would like to take us through this? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So this report covers the review of fees and charges for the Joint Archive Service. The background is that the fees and charges have been reviewed on an annual basis since 1997, and that is in accordance with the terms of the Joint Archives Agreement. The proposed fees and charges in this report, shown as an appendix, are recommended for approval as they represent a fair and reasonable increase. The Archive Service generates income from a range of sources, which includes copying, sale of photographic permits, research transcription, sales of publications, donations and fees for talks. In addition, at the Staffordshire History Centre, we now generate income in additional ways, including a formal and informal learning offer, a public events programme, room hire and a small retail offer. So during 2024-2025, the Joint Archives Committee introduced revised charges for the research service and all other services covered by this fee. This followed a very extensive review and benchmarking process. There is no proposed further increase to this fee for 2025-2026. There is a proposed increase to the daily photographic permit fee to £10. The previous charge of £8 had been held since 2019-2020. There's no proposed increase to the annual permit charge, and this would make it a more cost-effective offer, particularly for local history groups. There are proposed introduction of new charges for both formal and informal learning activities at the Staffordshire History Centre, and these are things that have been tested during the initial opening period. So for formal learning, charges would be set for each academic year and would vary for different offers. The proposed charges will be advertised to schools an introductory offer, which will give flexibility and manage schools' expectations. There are charges for outreach, on-site sessions and learning resources. These are all set out at item 12 in Appendix 1. And these changes have been benchmarked against sector partners and other venues. For informal learning, the service proposes a flexible pricing system where prices are matched to the type of event held and at the discretion of the Archives and Heritage Management team. Charges consider the costs involved in running the event, and some indicative charges are given at item 13. There's no proposed change to fees for talks and tours, as we are still establishing our work with these audiences in our new venues. And charges for computer printouts and room hire have been held as they are in line with library service fees and charges. The income for the service is predicted to be £29,319 at the end of Q3 in this financial year. And both services are now fully operational in their new venues, and income from services remains high. So in summary, There is no proposed change to the research fee, but some proposed changes around photographic permit and the new learning offer. And the recommendation is that the committee approves the fees and charges for introduction by the Joint Archive Service and Heritage Service from the 1st of April 2025.
Thank you for that update. So the notice is for approval. Have we got any questions or comments at all? None to make. I would just note that you know these fees and charges have been tested and represent good value, don't they? Which is always encouraging. The door is open, and there is only one small increase compared to the fact that it's not increased in 5 years. So we're still looking at good value, and we hope plenty of people make use of this service. So all in favour. So the notice is to approve. All in favour? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. We move to item 5. Item 5 is the forecast outturn for 24-25 and the indicative revenue budget for 25-26. Who would like to take us through this?
That's me, Chair.
Thanks so much.
Okay. So the net revenue forecast outturn for this financial year, 24-25, can be seen at Appendix 1. So to date, we have a current spend of 688,000, which represents 74% of this year's total budget. So the latest forecast across both services is for a break-even position. So against core services, overall forecast underspend of 3,000. This is due to one-off savings against employees and transport, which are partially offset by a slight overspend on supplies and services of 1,000 for Staffordshire County Council, and then Stoke-on-Trent's core services are forecast to break even. So in order to arrive at an overall break-even position, it's assumed that Staffordshire would transfer 3,000 into their respective reserve. Sites and public services. So Staffordshire County Council sites and public services have a forecast underspend of 3,000. So it's due to one-off savings against employees of 4,000, transport of 1,000, and then this is partially offset by a slight overspend against supplies and services of 2,000. So it's assumed that the overall forecast underspend will be transferred to Staffordshire's reserve to give rise to a break-even position. And then Stoke-on-Trent sites and public services forecast overspend of 19,000. So this is due to the second payment of the removal costs and of 9,000, and then the original budget shortfall for the archive service for this year of 10,000. So both have previously been agreed to be funded from Stoke's reserve. So after transferring both of these from reserve, it gives rise to a break-even position again. I mean, even though we still only have a month left of this financial year, Stoke are trying to put in as much effort as possible to reduce down that transfer from reserve for the budget shortfall for this year. Moving on to the reserves position. So the reserves can be seen at Appendix 2. So in total, we've got reserves of 629,000. So we've got a general reserve of 561,000, an archives acquisition reserve of 58,000, and then the specific reserve for the art fund grant for the Minton collection of 10,000. So we're currently forecasting that the remaining reserve balance at the end of this financial year will be 570,000. So it's around 9,000 more than the current balance. So this does assume that Staffordshire would transfer into their general reserve the underspend of 3,000 against core services, and again a further 3,000 against sites and public services. Also, Staffordshire would transfer from the reserve 45,000 as match funding for the History Centre project for the microfiche cabinets of 10,000, and then the light sculpture in the archway of 35,000. So transfer from Stoke-on-Trent's general reserve is for the budget shortfall against sites and services of 10,000 for this year, and then again the second payment of the removal costs for the archives relocation of 9,000. So then I'm going to move on to the net revenue indicative budget for this year. So details of that can be seen at Appendix 3. So the impact of the budget for next year is that Staffordshire currently fund 74% of the total budget and Stoke fund 26% of the total budget. So the indicative budget for next financial year, 25-26, is 986,000. So that is an increase of 60,000 when compared to this year's budget. So just a bit of information there. So for Staffordshire County Council, the budget's been uplifted by 40,000 for next year. So we've included inflationary increases to reflect the additional costs associated with national insurance and pension contributions. We've also made a provision of 2.5% for pay awards, and then all other non-employee income and expenditure budgets have also received a 2% inflationary uplift. For Stoke-on-Trent's budget for next year, that's been uplifted by 20,000. So again, inflationary increases to reflect the additional costs associated with pension contributions have been included. There's a provision being made for a 2% pay award for Stoke, and then national insurance contributions and all other non-employee expenditure and income budgets have not received any inflation for next year. Therefore, they are set at the same as this financial year's budget. So the recommendations are, sorry, has anybody got any questions first?
No, carry on and we'll come back to you with questions,
Okay.
absolutely.
So yeah, the recommendations are to note this year's net revenue forecast outturn position and then approve the indicative budget for next financial year 25-26.
Thank you so much. Have we got any questions at all? None to add? No? Costs just keep going up, don't they? So, none from me. So, it's to note the predicted outturn for 24-25 and to approve the indicative for 25-26. Okay, all in favour? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. And we now move to item 6, which is similarly sounding, but it is the predicted performance outturn for 24-25. And who is taking us through this?
That's me, Chair. Thank you. So this report is looking at the performance for the Joint Archive Service and the Heritage Service. So as a service, we work to a 3-year planning cycle. And in 2015, we had a 10-year vision for the service approved with regular reviews. So our forward plan was reviewed in February 2021. That's the most recent review. And then we worked to an annual service delivery plan, which identifies the key work streams, and we monitor progress towards those targets. So at the February committee, we always bring a summary of our progress and predicted outturn for consideration by members. And then at the June committee, we bring the annual report, which sort of closes out what the actual overview of the work was and how we performed. So I've given a summary in the report, but in Appendix 1 to the report is further detail, but I'm obviously just going to look at the key points. Just to note that at the meeting on 27th February 24 last year, we also brought a benchmarking exercise where we looked at using data from the National Archives benchmarking survey from 2023, and we compared ourselves to near neighbours and similar services. The statistics from the 2024 survey haven't been published yet, so unfortunately we've not been able to complete this exercise, but as soon as they are available we will do that work and ideally bring that to the next committee with the annual report. So that's why that information is not present with the report this year. So moving on then to look at the performance so far, it's been based on performance up to the period sort of November, December 2024, so the end of, sort of Q3. And the work for the service delivery plan is developed and then monitored quarterly by the Archive and Heritage Management team, which includes the Stoke-on-Trent City Archives manager sits on that management team, so it's seen across the service. So for service demand 1, which is point 6 in the report, this covers our work to develop and embed partnerships. So we've used a sort of red, amber, green rating across the report, and for this area everything is rated as green. The key achievements are establishing the development trust for the History Centre, that's fully operational, managing our ongoing partnerships with a number of universities, but mainly Keele and Nottingham. We continue to support the New Vic Theatre and Chatterley Whitfield Group in Stoke-on-Trent, and we also support our History Network and Friends groups. So we're predicting a small increase in the number of volunteers that we've recruited this year, and a larger increase in volunteer hours by the end of the financial year. We've not yet been able to measure customer satisfaction as we're still waiting for the results of the Visitors to Archives survey. But compliments and feedback on the new service offers in Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire have been really, really positive. So for service demand 2, this focuses on the buildings and environment for our collections and meeting our sector accreditation standards. So most areas are RAG rated as green. The exceptions have been delays in some of the policy reviews and identifying back cataloguing projects for volunteers. And we're also due to write a journal article as well. And that's been due to sort of pressure on capacity during a period where in both Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent we were relocating our services and opening new service points. But the key achievements are that we've continued to review our collections and identify items for disposal, and a huge amount of work done at the City Archives to repackage collections and support the move. City Archives has also secured a £20,000 National Manuscripts Conservation Grant for the Minton Archive. And as a museum service, we were able to submit an application for full re-accreditation, which is being considered by the Arts Council England this month. So we're predicting that about 99.5% of our collections will have at least an online collection description, and our budget is overall predicted to break even. The accreditation status remains in place for the archive service, and we hope to be fully accredited for the museum. The History Centre visitor target was met early, and we've substantially exceeded that target. We did have over 3,800 visitors at the end of January, and we've just past 5,000 visitors this month. Service demand 3 looks at our engagement with stakeholders and how we diversify users of our service. So again, the majority of the areas are RAG rated green. The amber items are some delays around developing the marketing plan, but that procurement process has now commenced. Delivery of a temporary exhibition at the History Centre has been delayed by 1 month. That was to enable completion of a touring exhibition. And then we were also due to do an exhibition called Lockdown Memories about the COVID-19 pandemic, but the feedback and testing around that is still seen as too soon to reflect on the pandemic, so we will look at rescheduling that for a later period. We've also delayed the adult learning course, and that's in line with the capacity of the university lecturer who delivers that course with us. So the key achievements have been really successful delivery of events and developing and testing our school sessions and family activities at the History Centre and the touring exhibition programme. And we are predicting a 5% increase in terms of attendance to those events, and also exhibition targets will be met. Service Demand 4 covers the work that we do to share knowledge across both the archive and museum sector and support other organisations, and all these areas are rated as RAG rated as green. The key achievements have been really strong participation in regional networks. We've presented a number of case studies and presentations at conferences in the last year, highlighting the work that we've done around the History Centre and our service generally, and co-production. And so we're predicting a sort of similar outturn for last year around the advice and support that we deliver to other organisations. Service Demand 5 covers the online engagement with our services. Again, most are RAG rated as green. We did have some issues with the website, which delayed launch. That was the procurement process was much longer and more complex than we anticipated, but that has now launched. Digital preservation work has been delayed again due to capacity issues in the service, but we are working on a plan for resourcing digital preservation. So those areas are amber. But the key achievements are that we have actually launched the website, we've delivered more online name indexes, we've exceeded the target for images added to our Past Track site, and we've made really good progress with our digitisation plan. So we're predicting that digital engagement will increase by 3.67% compared to the previous year, which is slightly below the target of 5%, and work is underway to increase engagement by the end of the year, and we are collaborating with our library service as well as our parent authorities on that. So the majority of actions and targets are rated as green, in terms of that they will be delivered by the end of the financial year. And I think there are some really, really significant achievements in this last year in terms of delivering new service offers in Stoke-on-Trent and in Staffordshire, and also in Stoke, actually moving the City Archive collection as well. And obviously we still continue to deliver a really wide range of events. So the recommendation is that the Joint Archives Committee considers the predicted outturn for performance for the Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent Archive Service and the Staffordshire Archive and Heritage Service. If there are any questions, Chair, I'm happy to take those.
Thank you very much. Any questions, Councillor Sutton? No? I mean, it's very busy, I can see. And it's always encouraging when you have your RAG rating is towards the green. So, you know, on item 13 there, the majority in actions and targets are rated green and will be delivered. That's always encouraging to see. So thanks to the team and all the hard work that's been put in there. Okay, it's good, and the wheels keep turning. We move to item 7, Joint Service Forward Plan 25-28. I've got a verbal addition to this with regards to the Stoke-on-Trent centenary, unless it's covered in the report. But who would like to take us through this one? Yes. Great, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So this report is bringing the review of the Joint Service Forward Plan for 2025-2028. So as mentioned in the previous report, we worked to a 3-year forward plan since the inception of the Joint Service in 1997. However, in 2015, we made an exception in that we developed a 10-year plan because we recognised that some of the service transformation that we intended to undertake would take longer than a 3-year cycle. Having said that, we did still review that plan in 2018 and 2021, so it's now due for a sort of more substantial review. The majority of objectives from that 10-year plan have been delivered, and so we will revert to, as I say, a 3-year planning cycle. So we also require a forward plan for both archive service and museum accreditations, and that plan has to have a mission statement and also cover at least the current and following year plan business, and it needs to be approved by the governing body, which is why it's brought to the Joint Archives Committee. So in writing this forward plan, we have reflected on the achievements of the 10-year outcomes and how the service has really established itself as playing that leading role in caring for historic collections and providing access across Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent, and also how we've extended and improved our sites and raised the profile of the service. We've worked with some really key partners and funders to support us in doing that work, such as the National Lottery Heritage Fund, the Art Fund and V&A Wedgwood. And that's really enhanced the reputation of the service in the last sort of 10 years. We've significantly increased fundraising over the last years, and when it was all added up, it came to over 6 million that we've brought in to the service. We've really improved the service offer by relocating the Stoke-on-Trent Archive Service to the Potteries Museum and Art Gallery, and also transforming the Staffordshire site to create the Staffordshire History Centre. We've got new strong rooms constructed that provide compliant storage conditions for both our archive and museum collections. The service has also delivered a number of community projects to diversify collections, including the Eastern European Recipe Book Project, Pride in Our Past, and a number of collaborative PhD projects. There were a couple that look at slavery and colonialism in our collections. When comparing the visitor figures from annual reports of 2015-16 to 2023-2024, the use of the service, adding in-person and online visits together, has increased fivefold, which is really, really significant. The service works with 2 friends groups, and its ambition was to increase membership of those groups. This hasn't been achieved, but it does also work with other community groups. It has a critical friends group, family folks group, and a significant number of volunteers. As a service, we've contributed to a number of national and regional case studies, and we've presented at several conferences, again regional and national sector conferences, and we support over 40 organisations through the Staffordshire History Network. The service has increased online access to collections through digitisation with a commercial partner, Find My Past, and also launching a new website for the Joint Archive Service and Heritage Service. Progress has been made on digital preservation, and we have a plan in progress to how we resource that work to complete it. So the vision and mission statements remain the same, as it's felt that they still reflect the statement of purpose for the service. So that's in Appendix 1 to the report, but just to sort of make clear what they are. So our vision is to connecting people to collected stories and heritage of Staffordshire, Stoke-on-Trent and beyond. And our mission is to connect people to the memories of Staffordshire, Stoke-on-Trent by engaging them with the collections we develop and preserve for current and future generations. What we have done is the previous plan had 5 outcomes, but as we've delivered this sort of significant transformation, we've condensed that and combined it into 3 outcomes. So they are now maintain a collaborative approach and embed partnerships, deliver a resilient and sustainable service, and engage with a wide range of audiences in person and online. So what we've done is brought together the in-person and online offer together, and then we've sort of brought some of the sharing sector knowledge in with the partnerships. And the focus is very much on embedding our new offer and promoting it. So the targets, so some of the targets and performance measures we've established in the forward plan, others we'll establish annually in the service delivery plan. So that service delivery plan will identify, and that will be developed by the management team, that will identify the sort of detailed activity, and then there'll be team plans and one-to-ones with team members to ensure that all staff are clear on their contribution to the plan. The forward plan identifies the resources for the service, and also the key risks are highlighted with mitigations. We do also have a really detailed risk register which we bring with the annual report, and that's reviewed in June. So if the forward plan is approved by the Joint Archive Committee, it would then be reviewed in 2028, and we'll continue to report performance annually at the February committee. So the recommendation is that the Joint Archives Committee approves the review of the forward plan for the Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent Archive Service and the Heritage Service. And I'm happy to take any questions and comments on the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? It's good to hear how embedded in the community and in volunteering and with groups that there is. It's really encouraging to hear. No questions from me on that. would like to just add a little bit to it about the Stoke-on-Trent centenary preparations. Mr. Nicklin, did you want to add that, or would you like me to do it? No. Go ahead.
I can do that, Chair, no problem. Yes, so the committee may know that it's an important year for Stoke-on-Trent in terms of our centenary celebrations. So just in terms of some of the activities that maybe we could add into the forward delivery plan throughout the year, there's a couple of key projects that the archives team will be paramount in terms of delivering for the centenary celebrations. So one of them is the Living Heritage City, which will connect the 6 towns in Stoke-on-Trent and bringing forward all of the heritage artefacts across the city, and that includes a heritage trail as well. So the archive service has led in terms of collating all of the photography and the quotations for that project. So that's a really good one for us to add into the forward plan. And then the other one is the Minton Majolica Artwork Conservation Project. So that's in terms of selecting artwork from 1925 to showcase later in the year. And that's looking at new preservation and conservation skills developed by staff and volunteers will be highlighted through that. And then just a couple of others of note. There's recorded interviews with the historian Fred Hughes in relation to his centenary book. So the Archives Services team at Stoke-on-Trent are going to be leading on those recordings of those interviews. So just a bit of a flavour of some of the heritage-related projects that the Archives team are leading on, which would be great to see there in terms of the forward delivery plan.
Yep, thank you for that. So I think those to note and just be aware of as we move forward. I think we can go ahead with approving that report with noting those items, if that's all right. Get approval for that? Yep, great. That's approved. Okay, before we close today's meeting, I just would like to put on record a little bit of thanks to a couple of hard-working members of staff. As the committee may know, the current archive service managers for Stoke-on-Trent, Rebecca and Louise, have announced they are stepping down from their shared role. And I'd like to ask the committee to join me in thanking them for their passion and commitment to the archives and joint archive service over the years. Louise since 2007 and Rebecca since 2001. So it's not been a short service. They've achieved a great many things, and notably the move of the archives, which has been no small task. And combating the situation during COVID, which was adding impossibility to a great challenge. So they've done very well. They've left the Potteries Museum and Art Gallery and the City Archives in a strong position for their successor to take forward, and I'm sure we can wish them all the best and success in their future. Thank you. Okay, with that said, the meeting is now closed, and I'd like to thank you all for your contributions today. Thank you so much.